How to Recreate Yourself Like a Stoic in 2025, Full Guide. As we approach 2024, it's time to rethink life, not just at the surface, but at a deeper level. Reinventing yourself isn't just a phrase, it's a conscious journey inward. Imagine a life where opinions don't weigh you down and society's noise fades into the background. That's not ignorance, it's freedom. It's about placing your energy where it matters most, within. To truly grow, you need to embrace what some might call selfishness, but in reality, it is self-love. How can you genuinely care for others if you haven't taken care of yourself first? Reconnecting with your inner self brings clarity. It sets the stage for something even more important: purpose. Not something found, but created, crafted through your choices, your values, and how you show up in the world. Ancient philosophies remind us that a meaningful life isn't measured by money or recognition, but by inner peace, wisdom, and how we handle adversity. Real strength is built when challenges shape you instead of break you. Change isn't about how you look, but who you are becoming. Daily habits, reflection, and taking care of your mind and body help reveal the person you were always meant to be. With a fresh year ahead, the question isn't whether change is possible, it's whether you're ready to meet the version of yourself that's been waiting. If you have ever felt overwhelmed, burdened by expectations, or stuck in worries, you can, control, you are not alone. But there is another way to live, with intention, clarity, and peace. It starts with letting go of what you can't control and focusing on what truly matters: how you think, how you act, and how you grow. As we move into a new year, it's the perfect moment to explore how freeing yourself mentally can lead to a more peaceful and fulfilling life. The idea of you not caring, you doesn't mean detachment from everything. It means focusing on what truly matters and letting go of what doesn't. To begin this journey, it's helpful to understand the connection between philosophy and happiness. Philosophy at its core is the pursuit of wisdom. It asks deep questions about life, reality, values, and especially what it means to be happy. Throughout history, thinkers from different cultures have tried to answer what happiness is and how we can reach it. While it may seem simple on the surface, happiness is complex and personal, shaped by experience, culture, and expectations. When viewed through the lens of philosophy, its meaning deepens. Greek philosophers like Aristotle believed happiness wasn't just a temporary emotion. It was about fulfilling your potential and living a life of virtue and purpose. He called this concept eudaimonia, or the good life. In contrast, Epicurus believed happiness came from simple pleasures, peace of mind, and close relationships, not excess, but balance. Philosophers like Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill introduced utilitarianism, arguing that happiness meant doing the greatest good for the most people. Meanwhile, Arthur Schopenhauer offered a more somber view, suggesting happiness is simply the absence of suffering and that fewer desires lead to fewer disappointments. Existentialist thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus challenged traditional ideas, saying life has no set meaning. Each person must create their own. They emphasized authenticity and personal freedom over societal rules. Eastern traditions like Buddhism also offer valuable insight. In Buddhism, happiness is achieved through detachment from desires and by cultivating inner peace and awareness. These diverse perspectives show there's no single path to happiness. What we believe, how we live, and what we value all shape our personal version of it. Some people seek virtue, others seek pleasure, freedom, or spiritual understanding. This brings us back to the art of not caring. By releasing unnecessary worries and focusing on what really matters to us, we make room for a more balanced and joyful life. Philosophy doesn't hand us answers. It teaches us to ask better questions, to think deeply, and to stay open to learning. Now we turn to Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that's become popular again for good reason. Founded by Zeno in ancient Athens, Stoicism was later shaped by thinkers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. At its heart, Stoicism teaches that while we can't control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. Through self-discipline, wisdom, and reason, Stoicism shows a way to live a grounded, resilient, and meaningful life. Stoicism teaches us a powerful truth. Focus only on what you can control and let go of everything else. It's a mental shift that helps free you from unnecessary stress. This idea is rooted in the distinction between two types of power, things within our control and things outside of it. Epictetus, a former slave-turned-philosopher, explained this beautifully. He said that our opinions, intentions, desires, and reactions are in our power. Meanwhile, our body, reputation, and the opinions of others are not. This contrast invites us to invest energy where it truly matters, on our thoughts, values, and actions, while emotionally releasing everything beyond our influence. This mindset doesn't mean apathy or laziness. It means choosing where to direct your care. It's a way to maintain inner peace by not being disturbed by things you cannot change. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, lived this principle. Despite his position, he understood that power and praise are temporary. He believed a happy life comes from within, shaped by our mindset, not our circumstances. Seneca, another key Stoic, taught the same. He encouraged us to stay steady in both hardship and success. For him, true happiness was living in the present without fear of the future, content with what you have. If you want nothing more, you already have enough. These Stoic ideas guide us to stop obsessing over external changes and instead work on becoming wiser, kinder, and more resilient. Not caring in this context doesn't yet mean indifference. It means being intentional. It means caring deeply, but only about what truly matters. From the Stoics we move to Epicurus, a Greek philosopher who founded a different school of thought. His version of not caring wasn't about emotional detachment, but about choosing a peaceful, simple life. Epicurus is often misunderstood, i.e. his teachings weren't about wild pleasure, but about balance, calm, and meaningful connection. He believed joy is the purpose of life, but not all pleasures are equal. He warned against chasing temporary highs and instead emphasized lasting happiness found through tranquility, friendship, and self-understanding. Epicurus made a key distinction between two kinds of pleasure: kinetic pleasures, which come from satisfying a desire, and katastatic pleasures, which come from a calm state of contentment, free from pain and craving. He believed the best life is one rooted in katastatic happiness, finding peace in simplicity and freedom from constant wants. For Epicurus, many of our desires, like wealth, fame, and power, are natural but shaped by society. These desires never truly satisfy us, they just keep us chasing more. He famously said, "If you wish to be rich, do not add to your money, but subtract from your desires." This captures the core of his message, to stop caring about things that don't bring lasting peace. Epicurus also tackled the fear of death. He argued that death is nothing to us. It doesn't affect us when we're alive, and when it comes, we no longer exist. By letting go of this fear, we can fully embrace the present moment. His philosophy shows that true happiness comes not from excess or approval, but from self-awareness, simplicity, and meaningful connection. When we stop caring about what others think or about fears that don't serve us, we make space for inner peace. The Epicurean way asks us to rethink our values, let go of empty desires, and enjoy the lasting pleasures of friendship, thought, and calm. As we carry these ideas forward, we learn that happiness isn't about more, it's about enough. From ancient Greece, we travel to 19th century Denmark to explore the existential philosophy of Søren Kierkegaard. He focused not on universal truths, but on the individual, their fears, freedom, and search for meaning. Kierkegaard believed that life's uncertainty causes anxiety. We fear the unknown and struggle with choices that don't have guaranteed outcomes. His solution? The leap of faith. It's not just religious. It's the act of moving forward despite uncertainty, choosing with courage even when the result isn't clear. He famously wrote, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." We gain wisdom by reflecting on the past, but we can't predict or control the future. Letting go of that need for control helps us live more freely and honestly. Not caring, in Kierkegaard's sense, means releasing the paralyzing fear of what if, and having the bravery to act according to our values. His message invites us to accept life's mysteries without being ruled by worry. From Denmark's foggy streets, we journey to ancient India, where Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, offered a completely different approach to the same question. How do we find peace? Buddhism teaches that real happiness doesn't come from pleasure or getting what we want. Instead, it comes from a deep, stable state of peace and awareness. It's not dependent on the outside world. It's cultivated within. At the heart of Buddhism are the Four Noble Truths, which explain that suffering exists. It has a cause, attachment and desire. It can end, and there is a path to that end. This path includes mindfulness, ethical living, and wisdom. Letting go, a core idea in Buddhism, is the ultimate form of not caring. It means releasing attachments to outcomes, possessions, identities that bring suffering. It's not apathy, but freedom. When we stop clinging, we stop suffering. This practice teaches us that peace comes not from resisting reality, but from understanding and accepting it. We begin to care less about things that change, and more about cultivating compassion, presence, and insight. In all these philosophies, from Stoicism and Epicureanism to existentialism and Buddhism, the art of not caring isn't about being indifferent. It's about caring wisely. It's about choosing what deserves our attention and letting go of what doesn't, so we can live with clarity, calm, and purpose. Let's pull all of these deep ideas together and focus on what they actually teach us about not caring in a meaningful, intentional way, based on the wisdom of the Buddha, Nietzsche, and other philosophers you've studied. Buddhism, let go to be free. According to the Buddha, suffering or dukkha arises from tanfo, craving for more, for other than what is. We chase things, people, feelings, and ideas, thinking they will satisfy us, but all of these are impermanent. This ignorance, avijjho, fuels the cycle of suffering. Non-attachment and detachment, from a Buddhist point of view, don't mean apathy or ignoring life. They mean embracing life with awareness and love, but without clinging. It's the art of being deeply present while letting go of control. You can. Feel fully without clinging, enjoy joy, endure sadness, and stay balanced through both. Love without grasping, own without being owned, engage without addiction. Accept impermanence, You only lose what you cling to. Buddhism teaches that when you stop demanding the world stay the same, you make space for lasting peace, not fleeting pleasure. Nietzsche, overcome yourself. Nietzsche's approach to not caring isn't about apathy. It's about power, freedom, and self-creation. He challenges us to break away from herd morality, that is, those values given to us by society, religion, or tradition, and instead create our own. This requires self-overcoming, questioning everything we believe, facing our darkness, and transforming ourselves again and again. His ideal, the Übermensch, Overman, is someone who creates their own values, affirms life in all its chaos, pain, and beauty, doesn't care about conventional morality, but lives with fierce integrity. You can reject social norms that don't resonate with your truth. Live courageously, even in uncertainty. Affirm life, not by avoiding struggle, but by embracing it as part of becoming. Nietzsche invites us not to care less, but to care deeper. About what? Os real. What? Eos personal. And what we choose for ourselves. Putting it all together. How to not care the right way. These philosophies all teach us that not caring isn't coldness or passivity, it's clarity, it's knowing what to care about and what to let go of. Here's how you can apply this. Sort your desires. Epicurus Buddha. Ask, is this desire natural and necessary, or just socially conditioned? Let go of endless wants. Keep what truly nourishes. Embrace change and uncertainty. Buddha, Kierkegaard. You can't control outcomes. Accept the unknown with grace. Let go of clinging and take the leap anyway. Define your own values. Nietzsche. Don't live by someone else's script. Reflect, re-evaluate, reinvent. Live in the present, all of them. Fear of death, desire for more, obsession with reputation, all distract you. Come back to now, that's where peace lives. Care selectively, care deeply about your character, wisdom, friends, creativity. Don't care about status, fame, what others expect, things that change. Final thought. The art of not caring is actually about caring better, about what endures, what liberates, what brings depth. It's about freeing yourself from needless suffering so you can live with presence, power, and peace. So next time you're pulled by desire, crushed by fear, or anxious about what others think, pause, breathe, let go, and ask, does this deserve my care? Because as all these philosophies teach us, a free life begins when we learn to care wisely. In the third step of growth and change, we face the weight of social standards. We've learned from Epicurus, Nietzsche, and existentialism that the rules and expectations of society can often make it difficult to be ourselves or find real happiness. It's worth asking, are the stresses in your life aligned with your own values and goals, or do they make you feel like you have to hide who you really are? Not caring about social standards doesn't mean you stop caring about everything or avoid responsibility. It means you reclaim the freedom to choose your own ideals, your own path, and build your own character. The next step is to accept that life is, in many ways, silly. Instead of constantly searching for meaning or approval from others, we can draw on the wisdom of thinkers like Camus to focus on making our own meaning. This could come from your passions, your work, your relationships, or simply your personal growth. There's joy to be found in the journey itself. Following this path is not always easy. It requires patience, courage, and self-compassion. You will face fear, doubt, or confusion at times, and that's okay. These moments aren't signs of weakness. They are part of what it means to be human. Don't fight them. Notice them. Learn from them. Let them guide you. So, what can you do right now to start applying these ideas? Mindfulness is one simple but powerful tool. Being mindful means being fully present in the current moment without judging it. It lets us observe our thoughts and feelings as they are without getting tangled in them. Even a few minutes a day of sitting in silence and focusing on your breath can help you develop more acceptance, presence, and non-attachment. Core skills in learning how to not care in a healthy way. Not caring doesn't mean being cold or indifferent. It means learning what matters most and letting go of what doesn't. It means embracing uncertainty and absurdity while staying true to your spirit, even when others might disapprove. It asks us to be brave, kind to ourselves, and open to the full experience of being human, not chasing a perfect outcome, but engaging in the lifelong journey of self-discovery. We've just traveled through a rich landscape of ideas, from the Stoic thinkers of ancient Rome to the existentialists of the 20th century. We've explored the Stoic idea of dividing what we can control from what we can't, and how that distinction leads to peace. We looked at Epicurus, who taught us that much of our happiness comes from freeing ourselves from the opinions of others and from unnecessary desires. We embraced the reality of life's uncertainty with Kierkegaard and the absurd with Camus, and saw how surrendering our grip on fixed outcomes can make us freer and happier. Buddhist thought reminded us to release our attachments and let go of what is temporary, guiding us toward inner peace. Nietzsche pushed us to rethink what society tells us to value and urged us to create meaning through our own power and honesty. Sartre and Camus reminded us that life has no inherent meaning, and it's up to each of us to take responsibility and create one. In everyday life, these ideas can guide us to focus on what really matters, handle doubt with openness, challenge society's norms when they don't fit, and accept life's contradictions and chaos with a sense of humor. We also talked about how mindfulness and awareness can help us stay centered, grounded, and clear in our choices. But this journey isn't about reaching a final goal. The art of not caring is a lifelong practice. It's not apathy or detachment from life. It's a deeper engagement with your true self and a decision to live on your own terms. And so, as we shift into a deeper topic, have you ever felt guilty for taking care of yourself? Like resting, eating something you love, or taking time to recharge? Has anyone ever called you selfish for putting your needs first? These are common feelings, and they reflect how easily self-love can get confused with selfishness. Now we begin to explore that space, the intersection of caring for yourself and the judgment that can come with it. Thinkers like Nietzsche, Carl Rogers, Maslow, Aristotle, Ayn Rand, Sartre, Buddha, and Erik Erikson all had unique insights on this, and they can help us understand that true self-love isn't selfish. The world gives us mixed messages. On one hand, we're told to be selfless, to give, to serve, to put others first. On the other hand, we're told to love ourselves and prioritize our own needs. It was no wonder we feel lost, guilty, or confused. But learning how to love ourselves fully is one of the most important skills we can develop, not just for personal happiness, but for healthier relationships and a more meaningful life. Self-love means accepting who we are, flaws and all. It means recognizing our worth without needing to be perfect. It's about being gentle with ourselves, especially when we make mistakes, and treating ourselves with the same patience and understanding we often show to others. Real self-love includes caring for our physical and mental health, setting boundaries, following our passions, and respecting our own needs. It's about keeping our minds engaged, our bodies cared for, and our inner world nourished. None of this has anything to do with selfishness. It's not arrogance. It's not self-absorption. It's simply honoring the fact that we too are human and we matter. Let me know if you'd like this transformed into a script, story, or personal reflection. I can also condense or expand parts depending on your needs. Selfishness usually carries a negative meaning. It's often used to describe someone who prioritizes their own needs while hurting or ignoring others. But as with many ideas, there's more than one side to this. When we talk about selfishness here, we're not talking about harmful or careless behavior. Instead, we're exploring a different, healthier kind of selfishness, one that allows us to make choices that support our well-being, even if those choices don't always align with what others want. This kind of selfishness is what gives us permission to say no when we're overwhelmed. It's what encourages us to follow our dreams, even if they challenge social expectations. And it allows us to put ourselves first, even when doing so feels like a luxury. It means recognizing that our wants and needs matter just as much as anyone else's. Some people find the relationship between self-love and selfishness confusing, but the truth is, the two are deeply connected. To truly love ourselves, we must be willing to put our needs first sometimes. That means setting boundaries, making choices that support our health, and valuing ourselves deeply enough to protect our well-being. To be positively self-interested, we first have to believe that we're worth caring for. That belief is rooted in self-love. In this way, self-love and healthy selfishness are two sides of the same coin. Together they help us grow as individuals, build resilience, and find peace in the chaos of life. When we understand and practice both, we can navigate life with confidence and grace. So how did these ideas evolve? Where do they fit in the larger landscape of philosophy and psychology? How have they shifted over time? As we continue, we'll dive into these questions through the insights of philosophers and psychologists who have wrestled with these concepts for decades. This isn't about promoting selfishness in the destructive sense. It's about helping you build a strong, balanced sense of self where you can honor your needs without disconnecting from others. It's about recognizing your worth, standing your ground, and still caring deeply for the people around you. Self-love and healthy selfishness are more than just abstract ideas. They're vital for mental health, personal development, and overall well-being. To understand why, we need to look not just at philosophy, but at biology and human behavior. Psychologists have long known that how we see ourselves has a direct and powerful impact on our mental health. Think of the mind as a garden. When it's nurtured with love, kindness, and care, it grows. But when it's filled with thorns like self-doubt, harsh criticism, and negative inner dialogue, it struggles. These mental thorns can lead to anxiety, depression, and emotional exhaustion. Self-love is like a protective layer that shields us from that damage. When we love ourselves, we validate our feelings and experiences. We give ourselves permission to feel and acknowledge that those feelings matter. This kind of emotional honesty can help prevent us from bottling things up or disconnecting from what's real inside us. Self-love gives us the strength to face challenges. Instead of collapsing under pressure, we're able to stay grounded, knowing that we deserve support, healing, and peace. But self-love alone isn't enough. That's where healthy selfishness comes in. If self-love is the fertile soil, healthy selfishness is the act of tending to it. It's taking time to rest, setting boundaries, nourishing ourselves, and making room for hobbies and dreams. It's a way of protecting and sustaining the inner life we're trying to build. In practice, this means learning to say no. It means stepping away from people-pleasing and refusing to carry more than we can bear. Many of us struggle with overcommitting and trying to meet everyone's expectations, but constantly saying yes at the expense of our well-being slowly chips away at our peace. One of the most transformative acts of healthy selfishness is simply learning to say no to what drains us, so we can say yes to what nourishes us. When we bring self-love and healthy selfishness together, they form a foundation for resilience, growth, and peace. They give us the emotional structure we need to stand tall, not because others validate us, but because we've learned to stand with ourselves. We become less reactive to the ups and downs of life, more rooted in who we are, and better equipped to handle challenges with clarity and calm. So we return to the garden. We plant seeds of self-worth. We nurture them with patience and care, and we protect them through healthy choices. Over time, we grow something strong and enduring, a sense of self that isn't shaken by rejection or inflated by praise, but grounded in quiet confidence. Let's continue to deepen this understanding. What does it mean to truly love ourselves? Not in theory, but in the way we live every day. Carl Rogers, one of the founders of humanistic psychology, devoted much of his work to answering this question. Born in 1902, Rogers reshaped modern psychology by focusing on the individual's experience, potential, and inherent goodness. His approach, known as person-centered therapy, stood in contrast to the dominant views of his time. He believed that people grow best in environments of empathy, honesty, and unconditional positive regard, an atmosphere where they feel safe to be themselves without fear of judgment. This concept of unconditional positive regard is central to Rogers' view of self-love. To him, loving ourselves wasn't about ego or pride. It wasn't about thinking we were better than others or achieving certain results. It was about fully accepting who we are, no matter our flaws or past mistakes. True self-love, Rogers argued, is an conditional. It's not based on success, social approval, or conformity. It's rooted in the quiet recognition of our inherent worth. Rogers believed that self-love creates the freedom to explore, to grow, and to fail without shame. It nurtures an internal compass, helping us trust our own feelings and judgments rather than constantly seeking validation from others. And it invites us to embrace change, not just as something we endure, but as something we actively choose and welcome. This is the kind of love that makes growth possible. It's what gives us the courage to change, to face ourselves, and to become the person we're capable of being. It doesn't ask for perfection. It simply asks that we show up for ourselves with honesty and care. Let me know if you'd like me to keep rewriting the rest of the transcript in this voice, or if you want this section adapted for a voiceover script, essay, or narrative story format. Carl Rogers believed that unconditional positive respect is essential for helping clients develop self-love and grow. He said people naturally move toward better self-understanding, self-acceptance, and self-actualization when they are in an environment that offers this kind of support. Rogers had great faith in the healing power of loving yourself. His ideas reshaped therapy and align closely with what we're discussing here. They encourage us to love ourselves unconditionally, showing that this love can lead to personal growth and realizing our potential. Abraham Maslow, another pioneering humanistic psychologist, introduced the hierarchy of needs, a model that remains influential in psychology, education, and business. Maslow's theory places self-actualization at the top, describing it as the process of becoming your fullest self over time. According to him, basic needs like food and safety must be met first before pursuing higher needs like love, respect, and personal growth. Self-love plays a key role in meeting these needs because it helps us care for ourselves physically and mentally. This self-care, seen as healthy selfishness, is vital for becoming our best selves. Maslow also emphasized self-esteem as crucial, noting that self-love is the foundation for self-respect. Seeking self-actualization, which involves personal growth and peak experiences, is a form of positive selfishness a focused on improving who we are without harming others. He also believed transcendence, or helping others and connecting with humanity, was part of self-actualization. Maslow's ideas highlight how healthy selfishness and self-love are essential for growth and well-being. Going further back, Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher, saw happiness, eudaimonia, aias, the ultimate goal of life. For him, happiness wasn't fleeting pleasure, but a lasting state that comes from living virtuously and reaching your full potential. Aristotle believed self-love was not selfish but necessary for achieving this flourishing life. He spoke of reasonable self-interest, where we pursue personal growth and satisfaction without harming others, but instead contributing positively to society. To love yourself, in Aristotle's view, means striving to become the best version of yourself, whether that's developing your artistic talents or choosing a fulfilling path over a more lucrative but joyless one. His philosophy teaches that self-love and a healthy amount of selfishness push us toward excellence, benefiting both ourselves and our communities. Ayn Rand, a 20th century philosopher and writer, offered a more controversial but distinctive take on selfishness. Her philosophy of objectivism champions rational self-interest as a virtue. Rand argued that the highest moral purpose is to pursue one's own happiness and well-being, and that it's a moral duty to look out for yourself, not sacrifice your values or needs for others. However, her idea of selfishness isn't about hurting others or acting on impulse. It's about sticking to your goals, living authentically, and making choices that support long-term happiness. Rand emphasized using reason to guide these decisions, avoiding short-term gratification that harms your future well-being. Her perspective gives us a view of healthy selfishness grounded in logic and self-respect. All these thinkers offer us valuable insights. Rogers shows the power of unconditional self-love for healing and growth. Maslow highlights self-love and healthy selfishness as foundational steps toward realizing our potential. Aristotle connects self-love with virtue and flourishing. Rand stresses rational self-interest as a moral virtue. Together, they reveal how loving ourselves and acting in our best interest, without neglecting others, are essential for a fulfilled, balanced life. This is a fascinating overview connecting the ideas of selfishness and self-love across different philosophical traditions, from Ayn Rand to Stoicism, existentialism, and Buddhism. Here's a breakdown of the key points and how they relate. Ayn Rand's logical selfishness means acting in one's long-term best interest without harming others by lying, stealing, or betraying trust, because such actions ultimately hurt oneself in the long run. Self-love involves staying true to one's ideals, seeking personal growth, and maintaining self-respect and self-esteem. When everyone practices logical selfishness, respecting each other's rights, society becomes fairer, more honest, and peaceful. Rand's version is often misunderstood as cold egocentrism, but it's really about rational self-interest, benefiting both the individual and society. Stoicism, as expressed by Epicurus, emphasizes focusing on what is within our control, our thoughts, feelings, and actions, and accepting what we cannot control. Self-control is central to happiness. Managing reactions to external events protects inner peace. Self-love here means taking care of mental and emotional health, maintaining tranquility, reason, virtue, and balance in life. For example, handling stress by focusing on controllable efforts rather than outcomes. Acting in your own best interest means preserving your inner freedom and peace without being ruled by external circumstances. Existentialism, particularly Jean-Paul Sartre's philosophy, centers on freedom and responsibility. People are condemned to be free. They must choose who they want to be and take responsibility for those choices. Authenticity means living true to oneself, accepting psychological freedom, and not blaming others. Self-love and selfishness here involve being sincere about your needs and feelings, owning your life choices, and putting your values first without trampling others. The key distinction is that selfishness here is about truthful living and embracing freedom, not about harming others. Buddhism, through the Buddha's middle way, teaches balance by avoiding extremes of self-indulgence and self-denial. Self-love involves caring for one's physical and mental well-being, cultivating wholesome thoughts, and minimizing unwholesome ones. Selfishness is negative when it takes the form of greed, hatred, or delusion, but positive as healthy self-care and compassion. Meditation is an act of self-love and balance, fostering mindfulness and tranquility. This approach helps balance personal needs and social responsibilities, encouraging equanimity and compassion. Across these philosophies, self-love and selfishness aren't necessarily negative. Healthy selfishness involves acting in a way that honors one's own well-being and values without harming others. Self-respect and personal responsibility are common threads. They encourage us to live authentically, control our responses, and cultivate inner peace. Balance is key, whether it's Rand's rational self-interest, Stoic self-control, Sartrean authenticity, or the Buddhist middle way. The real challenge is to harmonize caring for ourselves with respect and compassion for others. If you want, I can help you dive deeper into any of these philosophies or explore how to apply these ideas practically in your life. What do you think? As we delve deeper into our exploration, we turn our gaze to the mid-20th century and the contributions of a German social psychologist, psychoanalyst, sociologist, and humanistic philosopher Erich Fromm, born in Frankfurt, Germany, in 1900. Fromm's ideas transcended academic fields, providing profound insights into human behavior, love, and society. He is best known for his work, The Art of Loving, published in 1956. In this seminal work, he presents love not as a sentiment easily swayed by passion or external factors, but as an art that one must cultivate and nurture. According to Fromm, the practice of love involves a sense of discipline, concentration, patience, and a transcendence of narcissism. Most importantly, it requires an ability to love oneself. Fromm's conception of self-love is far from the notion of narcissism or conceitedness. He emphasized that loving oneself and loving others are two sides of the same coin. They're inseparable. To Fromm, self-love means acknowledging one's own worth and not hating oneself for one's shortcomings. It's a deep appreciation for oneself that in turn allows for the genuine love of others. Fromm wrote that in the experience of love lies the only answer to being human and to sanity. He believed that an individual's mental health could not be separated from their capacity to love themselves and others. He argued that self-love and the love for others are intertwined, noting that love isn't possible without self-love, and self-love isn't possible without the love for others. In practical terms, Fromm's idea of self-love encourages us to maintain a balance between caring for ourselves and for others. It's about acknowledging our own needs and aspirations while respecting and caring for the needs and aspirations of others. It rejects the notion of self-love as a narcissistic, self-absorbed act, redefining it instead as an inclusive act that extends beyond the self in our relationships, whether personal or professional. Fromm's idea encourages us to practice active listening, understanding, and mutual respect, stemming from the love we cultivate for ourselves and extend to others. It pushes us to be patient, not just with others, but also with ourselves as we navigate the challenges of life. In the realm of personal growth and development, Fromm's concept teaches us to embrace our flaws and work on them without hating or being too harsh on ourselves. It encourages a healthy level of self-critique and introspection, fostering personal growth and a better understanding of ourselves. Fromm's perspective on self-love as an integral part of loving others provides a crucial layer to our understanding of self-love and selfishness. His thoughts encourage us to recognize self-love not as an isolated, self-centered act, but as a vital step towards loving others and leading a wholesome life. As we journey through the different philosophies and psychological perspectives on self-love and selfishness, we find ourselves in a mosaic of ideas, each unique yet sharing common threads. Comparing and contrasting these perspectives helps us appreciate their depth and diversity and guides us in integrating these principles into our daily lives. Starting with Carl Rogers, we saw that self-love is intrinsically tied to the concept of self-actualization. A positive view of oneself enables one to explore their potentials and capabilities fully. The concept of self-actualization resurfaces in Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, emphasizing self-love as a crucial element in fulfilling our highest potential. Aristotle's eudaimonia echoes similar sentiments with the pursuit of happiness through self-realization and the achievement of personal excellence. On the other hand, Ayn Rand's objectivism introduces the idea of rational selfishness, arguing that pursuing one's self-interest when done rationally is the highest moral purpose. This contrasts with the Stoic perspective represented by Epictetus, which advocates for self-control and inner freedom, seeking tranquility and virtue rather than immediate self-gratification. Jean-Paul Sartre's existentialist perspective throws us into the pursuit of authenticity, implying that self-love is about embracing our freedom and taking responsibility for our actions. Meanwhile, Buddha's middle way teaches us to navigate between the extremes of self-denial and self-indulgence, emphasizing the need for a balanced approach to self-love and selfishness. Erich Fromm bridges these different perspectives by presenting self-love as an art crucial for our ability to love others. His work underscores the mutual interdependence between loving oneself and loving others. Despite their varied historical and cultural contexts, these philosophers and psychologists share an appreciation for the value of self-love and a balanced sense of selfishness. They all recognize in one way or another that self-love is not an act of vanity or narcissism, but a crucial part of human well-being and a key to a fulfilling life. The concept of selfishness, too, is reframed as a healthy act of caring for oneself and not an expression of disregard for others. In terms of applying these perspectives to contemporary life, we can take away several valuable lessons. Self-love is about recognizing our self-worth and treating ourselves with kindness and respect. It involves understanding and meeting our needs, whether physical, emotional, or psychological. Healthy selfishness, on the other hand, is about setting boundaries and making time for ourselves amid our busy lives. It's about asserting our interests while maintaining empathy and consideration for others. In a world that often demands us to put others' needs before our own, these philosophical and psychological perspectives remind us of the importance of taking care of ourselves too. After all, as the adage goes, you cannot pour from an empty cup. In the act of nurturing ourselves, we become better equipped to contribute to the world and enrich the lives of those around us. As we venture forth into our individual journeys, let these philosophers and psychologists be our guides. Let their insights illuminate our paths as we navigate the terrains of self-love and selfishness, as we endeavor to create a balance that fosters personal development and contributes to a good life. As you venture forth, hold on to the insight that self-love and balanced selfishness are not barriers to our growth, but catalysts for it. They form the undercurrent of a life that's not just good, but meaningful, fulfilling, and truly our own. Have you ever found yourself pondering the fundamental questions of human existence? Who am I? Why am I here? What's the purpose of life? If you have, you've unknowingly delved into the realm of existentialism, a philosophy that places human individual existence, freedom, and choice at its center. Imagine you're floating in the endless cosmos, gazing down at the world, a tiny sphere amidst an infinite expanse. All the successes, all the failures, the entire human experience condensed into this one small dot. It's overwhelming, right? It might even seem absurd, but don't despair, because that sense of insignificance is precisely where existentialism begins. Existentialism, in its simplest terms, is a philosophy concerned with finding the self and the meaning of life through free will, choice, and personal responsibility. It rejects the idea that the universe inherently holds any truths or meaning about our individual lives. Rather, it suggests that it's up to each of us to give our own life meaning, to navigate this vast, uncaring universe where established structures or morals offer no easy paths. This philosophy originated in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, born out of the chaos and disillusionment following World War II. It was a philosophical rebellion, one that sought to explore the human condition in a world that appeared increasingly absurd. Among the many philosophers who contributed to this thought-provoking field, two names are particularly prominent and will serve as our guiding stars throughout this exploration: Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus. Jean-Paul Sartre, the renowned French philosopher, is often seen as the pivotal figure in existentialist thought. His belief that existence precedes essence encapsulates the idea that we come into the world without predefined purpose or nature, and that we must create our essence through our choices and actions. In Sartre's view, we are not born with a specific mission or inherent meaning. Rather, we find ourselves in a seemingly arbitrary world, and it becomes our existential responsibility to shape our destiny and give our life its unique meaning. Then we have Albert Camus, another French philosopher who, while often associated with existentialism, preferred to identify his philosophy as absurdist. For Camus, the universe is indifferent to our struggles, our joys, our existence, but rather than spiraling into despair, he saw this recognition as a starting point to create our own meaning, to rebel against the absurdity and embrace the freedom it offers. We'll be diving deep into their philosophies, unpacking their key concepts, and exploring how their ideas can provide valuable insight into our own lives. Because isn't that the ultimate goal? To understand and navigate our existence in this grand universe. Welcome to our journey into existentialism, a path that might not offer easy answers, but will surely raise profound questions about life, freedom, and personal responsibility. Though existentialism emerged strongly in the 19th and 20th centuries, its roots extend further back, nourished by centuries of philosophical thought. At its core, existentialism focuses on individual experience, freedom, and the search for meaning. This is evident in the works of early thinkers like Søren Kierkegaard and Friedrich Nietzsche. Kierkegaard, a Danish philosopher from the mid-19th century, is often considered the first existentialist. He championed the importance of personal experience and responsibility, opposing abstract philosophy and insisting on the individual's direct lived reality. For Kierkegaard, truth, especially in ethics and religion, is subjective and deeply personal. Nietzsche, a bold German philosopher, fiercely challenged the accepted values of his time. He celebrated the creative, life-affirming individual who rejects conventional morality to forge their own values. Both Kierkegaard and Nietzsche set the stage for existentialism's later development. Existentialism truly blossomed after World War II, a time marked by deep despair, loss, and a crisis of identity. The collapse of old certainties forced humanity to rethink its place in the world. In this environment, existentialism's focus on freedom, choice, and authentic living struck a powerful chord. A central idea of existentialism is that existence precedes essence. Meaning we are born without a predetermined nature or purpose, and it owes up to us to define ourselves through our choices. Jean-Paul Sartre, a leading existentialist philosopher, elaborated on this in his influential works. Sartre was born in 1905 in Paris and was not only a philosopher but also a novelist, playwright and critic. Orphaned young and raised by his grandparents, Sartre excelled academically and met his lifelong partner Simone de Beauvoir at university. His experiences as a meteorologist in World War II and his imprisonment by German forces deeply shaped his philosophy. Sartre argued that humans are radically free and fully responsible for their actions. Since there's no fixed human nature or external moral law, every action defines what it means to be human. This freedom can be exhilarating but also terrifying. It forces us to face the weight of our choices. To escape this burden, people sometimes act as if they aren't free, blaming circumstances or social norms, a behavior Sartre called bad faith. Sartre also explored the idea of nothingness, the awareness that separates us from the world and gives us the power to imagine different possibilities. In his book Being and Nothingness, 1943, he distinguishes between being in itself, you, the unchanging existence of objects, and being for itself, you, the conscious existence of humans. Freedom lies in our capacity as beings for itself, to create and redefine ourselves. Another key concept is the look or gaze of the other, which can make us feel like objects rather than free subjects. Sartre's famous phrase, "Hell is other people," captures the tension between selfhood and how others perceive us. Yet, despite these conflicts, Sartre saw philosophy as a call to action, to recognize our freedom and use it to fight injustice and live authentically. Simone de Beauvoir, Sartre's partner and an existentialist thinker in her own right, connected existentialist ideas with feminism. In The Second Sex, she examined women's experiences through the lens of existentialism, highlighting the struggle for freedom and identity. Albert Camus, born in French Algeria in 1913, developed a related but distinct philosophy often called the philosophy of the absurd. Rejecting the label existentialist, Camus focused on the clash between humans, desire for meaning, and the world, indifference. In his famous essay, The Myth of Sisyphus, Camus compares life to Sisyphus, Eos' endless task of rolling a boulder uphill only for it to roll back down. This absurd, repetitive struggle mirrors human existence. But rather than despair, Camus sees this recognition of absurdity as a source of freedom. We must revolt against meaninglessness by embracing life fully, finding joy in the struggle itself. Camus' novel The Stranger illustrates this philosophy through its protagonist Meursault, who lives detached from conventional morals and indifferent to life's absurdity. Camus emphasized personal honesty and moral responsibility, even in a world without inherent meaning. Together, these thinkers, Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, Sartre, de Beauvoir and Camus, offer a rich exploration of what it means to be human in a world without predetermined purpose. Existentialism challenges us to confront life's absurdity, embrace our freedom, and create meaning through our actions. When Meursault's mother dies and he feels no sorrow, or when he commits a violent act for seemingly no reason, his emotional detachment from the world becomes clear. This detachment shows that he does not care about society's rules or standards. This is exactly what Camus meant by the term absurd. The courtroom scene is crucial for understanding Mirsol's mindset. There, he reflects, I had lived my life one way, and I could just as well have lived it another. I had done this and not done that. I hadn't done this thing but had done another. This quote reveals everything about Mirso, Eos' character, and Camus, Eos' philosophy of absurdism. To Mirso, life is a series of random choices without inherent meaning. While this perspective might seem bleak or pessimistic, Camus believed that realizing life's absurdity doesn't lead to giving up or inaction. Instead, it frees us from societal constraints and expectations, allowing us to live authentically. By sentencing Mirso to death, Camus emphasizes his point. Faced with death, Mirso chooses to embrace life's absurdity fully. He feels a profound kinship with the indifferent universe, echoing Camus' Eos' call to revolt against the absurd and affirm life despite its meaninglessness. The Stranger isn't just a story about rebellion and psychological conflict. It also explores morality in a complex way. Mirso's actions and society's reactions to them challenge us to think deeply about what morality means in a world without inherent moral laws. Is there a sense of right and wrong if life itself has no objective meaning? Camus offers no easy answers. Instead, he invites us to grapple with these questions ourselves, emphasizing that we are responsible for creating our own moral compass. At the novel's end, Mirso thinks, "For everything to be consummated, for me to feel less alone, I had only to wish that there be a large crowd of spectators the day of my execution, and that they greet me with cries of hate." This final thought captures Camus' Eos' absurdist philosophy vividly. We confront the universe's indifference and life's randomness, and from this sobering reality we find both challenge and empowerment. Camus's philosophy challenges us to face the absurdity of existence head-on, while inspiring us to live fully and authentically through personal revolt and the creation of individual meaning. Seneca's teachings encourage us to confront our own mortality, which in turn helps us live with greater intention, cherish each moment, and make the most out of our limited time. Beyond that, he showed us how to manage emotions such as anger, fear, anxiety, and sadness. His ideas on emotional strength, self-control, and rational thinking remain incredibly relevant and beneficial for our mental well-being today. The lessons we'll explore aren't just ancient philosophy. They're practical, powerful tools that connect deeply to the complexities of modern life. Seneca once said, "A euphoria is the test of gold, adversity of strong men." This comparison beautifully illustrates how challenges, like fire purifies gold, shape and strengthen our character. This isn't a call to seek out hardship for its own sake, but rather to shift our perspective on difficulties, viewing them as opportunities to grow stronger and more resilient. Take the recent global pandemic, for example. It was a challenging time that threatened physical and mental health, caused financial instability, and left many feeling uncertain. Yet it also served as a kind of test, an intense trial that pushed individuals, communities, and nations to adapt, innovate, and show resilience. On a personal level, hardships like losing a job, ending a relationship, or facing a health issue, while painful, can also open doors for growth. People discovered new ways to work remotely. Businesses shifted online, communities supported each other, and healthcare systems adapted swiftly. Losing a job might lead to finding more fulfilling work or starting a business. A breakup might bring self-awareness and positive change. A health scare might prompt better habits. Stoicism doesn't advocate ignoring or suppressing pain. Instead, it suggests recognizing and accepting it, then using that awareness to foster personal development. While we can, always control what happens, We can control our response. This doesn't make hardship easy, but it offers a way to transform adversity from a roadblock into a stepping stone. In daily life, we can apply this wisdom by practicing mindfulness, being fully present whether we're working, spending time with loved ones, or enjoying solitude. This helps us appreciate each moment, improves focus, and supports overall well-being. It's also useful to examine our routines. Are we spending time on things that don't bring value or happiness? Could we simplify or delegate to free up time for what truly matters? Every wasted minute is a lost opportunity to invest in what's important. Gratitude for the time we have is vital. Instead of lamenting how fast life flies, we should treasure every day, hour, and breath as precious gifts. While setting goals and striving for the future is important, it's equally crucial to enjoy the present journey, because life is happening right now. Seneca's reflections on the brevity of life remind us to stop postponing our happiness. He also deeply valued human connection. He said one of the greatest gifts of true friendship is to understand and be understood, highlighting empathy as the heart of any meaningful relationship. This means truly listening, sharing openly, seeing things from another's perspective, and letting them see ours. In our digitally connected but sometimes emotionally distant world, nurturing genuine relationships requires intentional effort. We need to make time for honest conversations, be there for one another in tough times, and share moments of joy. It's worth considering whether our relationships are truly supportive and empathetic or merely superficial. Quality matters more than quantity. Understanding others without judgment and approaching interactions with compassion helps prevent misunderstandings and conflict. Seneca's wisdom is a powerful reminder that deep empathy forms the foundation of strong bonds. He also warned against anger, describing it as one of the most foolish and self-destructive emotions. Learning to manage anger is crucial because it often causes more harm to ourselves than to anyone else. Anger is a powerful and destructive emotion that often leads us to make irrational choices and act in ways we later regret. It is all too easy to give in to anger, but how can we use Seneca's wisdom to gain better control over it, especially in today's stressful and often confrontational world? Seneca reminds us that anger harms us more than the people we direct it toward. Understanding this helps us step back and view anger more objectively, giving us some distance from its intensity. The next step is cultivating self-awareness, paying attention to what triggers our anger and recognizing the signals our body and mind send when it starts to rise. Being aware of these early signs can help us take action before anger spirals out of control. The Stoics placed great value on reason and logic, and Seneca encouraged us to use reason to clear our minds during moments of anger by asking, "Is my reaction appropriate? What would be a better response?" Alongside self-awareness, calming techniques like going for a walk, deep breathing, or progressive muscle relaxation can help soothe the mind and body, giving us space to regain composure. From a Stoic perspective, it's crucial to remember that while we can't control others' actions, we can control how we respond to them. When someone upsets us, we can choose not to respond with anger, but instead with understanding or calm assertiveness. By applying Seneca's teachings, we can break free from the harmful cycle of anger and develop mental calmness and emotional resilience. Managing anger isn't about suppressing it, but dealing with it in healthier, more constructive ways. Essentially, Seneca teaches us to see anger as a self-defeating emotion and offers tools to reclaim our power from it. At the core of Stoicism, and central to Seneca's philosophy, is the idea that virtue is nothing more than living according to right reason. This view places virtue at the pinnacle of ethics and morality and highlights Stoicism's deep commitment to moral integrity. But what does Seneca mean by virtue and right reason, and how can we bring these ideas into our daily lives? For Seneca and other Stoics, virtue is the highest good, more valuable than wealth, reputation, pleasure, or even life itself. A virtuous person lives guided by wisdom and reason, treating others fairly, showing courage in adversity, exercising self-control in temptation, and demonstrating wisdom in all areas of life. To practice right reason, we start by embracing wisdom and rationality as guiding principles. This means making decisions that benefit not only ourselves, but are also ethical and just. It involves seeking knowledge, being open to different viewpoints, and applying critical thinking to life's challenges. Seneca also encourages self-reflection, regularly checking if our actions align with the virtues we want to embody. Are we acting with integrity even when no one is watching? Do we choose what's right over what's easy or convenient? Reflecting on these questions helps keep us aligned with our moral compass. Virtue also involves empathy and compassion, recognizing the inherent value of others, treating people with kindness and respect, standing against injustice, helping those in need, and contributing positively to our communities. Additionally, living according to right reason means cultivating resilience and calmness. Challenges will come, but a virtuous person faces them with strength and tranquility, refusing to let external troubles undermine their values. By integrating these principles, we bring Seneca's teachings to life, living with a sense of fulfillment and peace that goes beyond fleeting pleasures or material success. His emphasis on virtue reminds us to prioritize moral integrity in a world often obsessed with material gain. His wisdom inspires us to pursue moral excellence and live according to our highest values as we navigate modern life's complexities. Though Seneca himself was wealthy, he held unconventional views about wealth and happiness. Unlike the common belief that equates wealth with happiness, he saw virtue and wisdom as the true sources of fulfillment. He famously said, No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. At first, this might seem surprising. After all, who wants a life full of hardship? But Seneca argues that a life without adversity leaves us unfulfilled. Adversity is a catalyst for growth, allowing us to test our resilience, discover our strengths, and realize our potential. True happiness comes from overcoming challenges and the self-understanding that emerges from struggle. Wealth, while offering comfort and security, can also breed complacency, indulgence, and entitlement. When cushioned by wealth, we may miss chances to prove ourselves, learn, and grow. So how can we apply Seneca's ideas to rethink wealth and happiness today? First, by embracing challenges instead of avoiding them, seeing obstacles as chances to grow and improve. It's about adopting a resilient mindset, viewing adversity as a stepping stone rather than a barrier. Second, we should balance our pursuit of wealth with cultivating virtue, making sure our efforts to succeed don't overshadow our commitment to moral integrity and personal growth. Seneca teaches us that pursuing wisdom doesn't ought mean rejecting wealth altogether. Rather, it oughts about making sure our chase for material success never overshadows our moral and personal growth. He reminds us that true wealth isn't about accumulating possessions, but about cultivating a rich inner life, one filled with virtue, wisdom, resilience, and self-awareness. In this sense, the wealthiest person isn't necessarily the one with the most belongings, but the one who has developed strong character and found peace within themselves. Seneca also offers a deeper understanding of happiness. It isn't simply the absence of hardship, but the ability to find fulfillment and growth through life's ups and downs. Happiness comes from embracing the whole journey of self-discovery, including its challenges and setbacks. This perspective offers a powerful alternative to the materialistic worldview that dominates much of society. It encourages us to seek the true riches of life: wisdom, virtue, resilience, and self-realization. Let Seneca's wisdom guide us to balance external wealth with inner richness, a happiness rooted not in avoiding adversity, but in navigating it with grace, strength, and wisdom. Another fundamental Stoic principle is living in harmony with nature, a concept Seneca expresses beautifully when he says, "God is near you, He is with you, He is within you." To truly grasp this, we must understand how Stoicism views God and nature. For the Stoics, God often means nature or the universe's rational order, the logos that governs everything. Seneca's words suggest that within each of us lies a spark of this divine rationality. Living in harmony with nature means aligning ourselves with this inner reason and the universe's natural laws. We are rational beings, uniquely capable of understanding and following the natural order. To live this way, we use reason to make wise choices, to tell right from wrong, and to face life's challenges with calm and clarity. It also means accepting life's cycles, the natural flow of birth, growth, decay, and death, and finding peace in the impermanence of all things, learning to appreciate the present moment. Furthermore, living according to nature means recognizing our interconnectedness. Just as the elements in nature exist in delicate balance, so are we part of a wider community, fellow humans, other living beings, and the environment. Honoring this means cultivating healthy relationships, contributing to our communities, and respecting the natural world. Seneca's reminder of the divine within us calls us to live with integrity and virtue, in tune with universal principles. By doing so, we draw closer to our true selves, living lives of greater wisdom, virtue, and inner harmony. Self-discipline is another cornerstone of Seneca's philosophy. One of his famous sayings is, "Oh, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This points to the difference between having little and being poor. Craving more is an endless hunger that traps us in dissatisfaction. To master self-discipline means controlling these cravings, whether for money, power, or pleasure, and cultivating contentment. It means valuing what we have and managing desires according to reason and virtue. Becoming self-aware helps us identify when cravings take control. Once aware, we must question whether these wants align with our values or simply fuel more wanting. This reflection isn't a one-time task, but a continuous process of self-examination and improvement. Finally, we need practical steps to control cravings, setting limits, forming healthy habits, and seeking help when needed. The goal is to live not ruled by endless desire, but guided by reason and virtue. Seneca's wisdom reminds us that true wealth lies in desiring less and mastering our desires through self-discipline. On the topic of death, Seneca shares a Stoic perspective that profoundly affects how we understand life and mortality. Like many Stoics, he embraces the concept of amor fati, love of one, eos fate, which includes accepting death as a natural, inevitable part of life. Seneca does not see death as something to fear, but as a release, a final rest from life's struggles and stresses. This acceptance stems not from pessimism, but from a deep understanding that all things, including pain and suffering, are temporary, and death naturally concludes them. This view encourages us to live fully, aware of our mortality, which adds meaning and focus to life. Rather than fearing death, Seneca invites us to accept it calmly, freeing us to live more bravely and freely. By regularly reflecting on death, we can better handle life's difficulties, value our time, and prioritize what truly matters. Changing our mindset to see death not as the end, but as an essential part of life helps us approach each day with awareness rather than avoidance. Seneca's teachings challenge the common narrative that sees death as an enemy. Instead, he offers a vision of death as a natural transition, a return to the tranquility that existed before birth. His words bring peace and a new perspective, teaching us to face death with calm acceptance, just as we strive to meet life's challenges with wisdom and virtue. According to Seneca's timeless wisdom, there are more things likely to frighten us than to actually harm us. We often suffer more in our minds than in reality. This idea is especially relevant in today's uncertain world. It's important to recognize that fear and anxiety live mainly in our thoughts, often disconnected from the present moment. When we worry, we tend to focus on what might happen in the future or feel regret over things we cannot change in the past. This tendency to dwell on the past or anticipate the future creates much of our anxiety and fear. Seneca teaches that a crucial step toward peace is learning to differentiate what is within our control and what is not. Many of the things we worry about, especially future events, are beyond our influence. Accepting this allows us to release unnecessary anxiety and direct our energy toward what we can change. Practicing mindfulness. Staying aware and grounded in the present. Helps us resist projecting fears into imagined futures or getting trapped in past regrets. By focusing on what actually is, we can see things clearly rather than through the distorted lens of fear. Reason and logic are powerful tools to overcome fear and anxiety. Seneca and the Stoics encourage us to question the validity of our fears. Are they rational? Are they truly based on reality? Or are they products of our imagination? By critically examining our worries, we often find them rooted in unlikely scenarios or exaggerated outcomes. Another important practice is acceptance. Recognizing fears and anxieties without judgment and allowing them to exist without letting them dominate our choices. These feelings are normal human responses, but do not define who we are or the reality we live in. Stoic Subhan's teachings invite us to approach worry and fear with a logical, present-centered mindset. Our concerns frequently arise from obsessing over the past or future, but the power to change this lies in the now. Embracing this wisdom means cultivating presence, thinking critically, and accepting our emotions with calm awareness as we move through life. Seneca also advises that we take regular walks outdoors so that the mind can be renewed by fresh air and clear skies. This recommendation might sound like modern self-care advice, but it is deeply rooted in ancient Stoic thought. He urged people to leave behind their routines and familiar surroundings to open themselves to new experiences, perspectives, and mental clarity. For Seneca, travel was never about luxury or escape, but about personal growth, reflection, and mental restoration. This idea applies not just to physical travel, but also to inner journeys of stepping beyond comfort zones. Changing our environment, whether through a simple walk in nature or exploring new places, gives our minds the opportunity to relax, refocus, and discover new insights. Being fully present during these moments is essential to absorb the experiences and let them shape our understanding of ourselves. When encountering different people, cultures, and landscapes, we often uncover hidden aspects of our character and values. In today's fast-paced world, where information overload clouds our thinking, stepping away provides mental space for clarity and creativity. Seneca's counsel reminds us to regularly pause, refresh, and reconnect with our inner selves to maintain mental and emotional health. By reflecting on Seneca's letters through Stoic Subhan's guidance, we uncover wisdom that remains profoundly relevant. We learn that adversity is not merely an obstacle, but a pathway to growth and self-discovery. Time is fleeting, and embracing the present moment is crucial. Relationships require mutual understanding and care. Anger must be managed to maintain peace of mind. True wealth comes from inner virtue rather than external possessions. Living in harmony with nature means accepting life's cycles and our interconnectedness. Self-discipline helps us desire less and find contentment. Death, far from being feared, should be accepted as a natural and inevitable part of life. Fear and anxiety can be overcome through reason and mindfulness. Finally, travel offers an opportunity for renewal and deeper self-awareness. These teachings are not just theoretical, but serve as practical guides for daily living. The true value lies in applying them consistently, in our thoughts, choices, and actions. Through small conscious steps, we cultivate wisdom, resilience, and tranquility. Stoic Subhan invites us to live intentionally, accepting what lies beyond our control and embracing life's challenges with grace. Every day provides a new chance to practice these lessons and enrich our lives with deeper meaning and inner peace.